Goodbye, BioWare. You had a great run, especially from 1999 to 2009. That would be the years spanning Baldur's Gate 2 through Dragon Age Origins. Now, whether you're a fan of Dragon Age 2, Inquisition, or heck, maybe you just dig MDK and Shattered Steel, it's pretty clear to us that BioWare's best games, BG2, Neverwinter, KOTOR, Mass Effect, and Dragon Age Origins, hey, we also have Jade Empire in there, which I liked. They were, in fact, for us, the golden years of the CRPG. Customize how they looked, decide whether you're male or female, and then have a ton of dialogue options. They did a fabulous job of giving you that illusion of player agency. Most games, like the Witcher series, gave you a fixed protagonist. Even the vaunted Planescape Torment didn't let you define your character. No, this was a special genre of CRPGs. Not only was it special, but it was pretty hard to produce. Because first and foremost, you had to have talented writers. And BioWare's golden years had some of the best in the business. But not only did they have talented writers and other staff, they had talented management. Up until the EA buyout in 2008, the two docs owning the company had such a passion for games that it came through and you could easily see it, and you knew that drove the quality of their products. And as anyone who's ever been in business knows, when the driving force behind something, whether it's just a department or the company itself, when that force goes away, everything flags. No matter what, no matter how hard you try, it's just never the same. And as a side note, it will be interesting to see what happens to Larian Studios, as they are now hugely popular. They have Tencent owning a significant stake in the company, and the pressure to produce a follow-up just as big as BG3 is going to be weighing them down. The one thing that studio cannot afford to lose is Sven Vinke. I can pretty much guarantee that when he decides to sell out, and they always do at some point in time because you get tired after a while and something else piques your interest, or you make the mistake of selling out to somebody huge and get pushed out just because that's what corporate does. Well, when Sven actually does leave at some point in time, I mean, let's hope he doesn't, but when he does, that studio will not be nearly as good as they are now. And right now, they're the best they've ever been. Well, EA had that effect on BioWare. The two doctors left, and it was no longer a passion for video games, it was profit margin. Now don't get me wrong, you'd be hard-pressed to find anyone who's more pro-business, laissez-faire, free trade, keep your hands off of my stack, Jack, than those of us here at the Outpost. But as I see it, businesses have three goals. First and foremost, they gotta make money. If you ain't pulling down the green, well, your doors are gonna get shut. Next, you have to service the customer. You have to produce what the customer wants to buy. And if you want to go all Adam Smith and want to be enlightened self-interest, then you see how you can benefit the community after those two have been met. So if a company wants to go woke and go broke, well, that's their prerogative. It's a free market. It's just a shame all of those poor peons who aren't part of the wokeitude in some company, those are the ones that lose their job and have the hardest time finding something else. They're not very high profile. You know, like a Corinne Bush who just jumps to another studio to do more woke trash. Now, wokeness has not been the primary reason that BioWare is now augering that baby in, even back when the two docs were running it. Remember all the clamor to make action games? How they went on an apology tour for Dragon Age Origins for not being actiony like all the other video games out there? No, BioWare started sowing the seeds of their own destruction long before they went retarded. And just like now, they learned the wrong lessons. How many interviews did we see where they thought gamers wanted even more action? They hadn't amped it up and locked it in enough. And what lesson are they taking away from Veilguard's failure? Oh, there's not enough live services because gamers expect that shared experience. Yeah, Andrew Wilson, CEO of EA, that's what the problem was. See, besides the woke tards, corporations everywhere suffer from one major malfunction. The top of the company doesn't know what the customer wants because they don't produce the products the customer wants. They have spreadsheets, they have pie charts, they have eye charts, they have pivot tables, and they have way too many PowerPoint presentations. And with no passion for games, everything and everyone is a number on a spreadsheet. And what does that mean? Well, that means games get watered down. They try to make them as generic and as appealing to everyone as possible. What does that lead to? That leads to talent drain. Because those folks who have a passion for games get really sick of that and they go try to find something or start their own thing that feeds that passion. And where does that lead? The folks who had that passion and who knew where they wanted the game to go, well, they're no longer there. So games are directionless. And there's going to be something to fill that vacuum. And in today's world, it's social justice and woke. Whatever the cause du jour, whether it's LGBTQ, race relations, whatever it might be, those get substituted for real talent, real stories, and actual creativity. Take, for example, Corinne Bush. This guy wasn't skilled in this type of a game development and was brought on because of his connection with the trans community. Well, that's not a recipe for success. You need someone who has a passion for developing stories that everyone's going to love. Instead, BioWare crafted a game and a story and characters to push a message, even going so far as to include top surgery scars. And combine that with Patrick Weeks, a guy whose books solely focus on LGBTQ, well, you end up pulling barbs and having some of the worst dialogue ever written in a video game. But it's not just the writing. No, it's the game design. It's the folks doing the animation. It's everything gets infiltrated by the new ideologies, by the folks that they bring in to fill those voids left by the talented. And throw in a healthy dose of DEI, and you're no longer getting the best of the best. You're finding those people that tick a box and agree with you. And as Smash JT reported here a while back, his insider was telling him that the atmosphere in that company was terrible. Everyone was afraid to do anything, to say anything. You didn't go against the message. Well, you can't have a creative environment unless people are allowed to disagree, and sometimes quite strongly. So in the end, you ruin your company. And that brings us to goodbye BioWare. There is no way Mass Effect isn't infected by the same attitude. It's going to be chock full of live service. Andrew Wilson all but said that. And there's not going to be any substance to even bolster the live service. Portions to maybe push it into being a good game. Honestly, I would be surprised if Mass Effect 5 ever sees the light of day. They're only in pre-production, and it's been about 5 years of pre-production. How much more money is EA willing to lose on that studio? Remember, they lost the cash cow that was Star Wars: The Old Republic. Worst thing is, there's really no one you can look to that say, oh, they're going to produce a good game. Maybe Archetype with Exodus has a shot. But given Hasbro's financial woes of late, especially Wizards of the Coast, you wonder how that's going to impact those guys. So far, the books and what they've shown and talked about the game doesn't seem like a bunch of woke trash. And then there's the iffy possibility of Bloodlines 2, though watching interviews with those writers kind of makes you scratch your head a little bit and wonder. But it has a shot, I think. But I'm not holding any hope out for Avowed, especially when their art director comes out and basically shoots himself in the face. Then again, we are talking about a market, and the market is ultimately driven by the customer. And if we, the customer, don't buy this slop, somebody is going to step up and produce what we want. Granted, it will take a Hasbro backing someone like Archetype Entertainment just because the barriers to entry is so freaking high. Let's just hope the idea that where there's a market, somebody's going to try to tap it holds true for games. But what do you think? Holding out hope for any studio to produce a really great game? Did you love Veilguard and think I'm just so full of it you can't stand it? Well, let us know in the comments below. And don't forget to like and subscribe if you like this content. Thanks for watching.